welcome to another edition of ID5's myth-busting video series. Today we're going to talk about contextual advertising. I'm here with Martin Gruau, the newly appointed VP of Product at Captify. Congratulations, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a bit about Captify.
Absolutely. So Captify is the largest holder of on-site search data in the open web. We have real-time audiences and insights that allow brands to connect with their consumers, and we do it through the truest data set, which is on-site search data. We work with publishers to collect that on-site search data, and we make it actionable through machine learning. We allow them to activate that data through a variety of platforms and a variety of service types.
And so Martin is going to help me answer the question. Are they competitive, contextual advertising and alternative IDs, or can they work together? So Martin, let's start with a definition of contextual advertising. How would you qualify it? What does it mean at Captify?
Right, so fundamentally, contextual advertising is really about the selection of the inventory based on the environment where the ad will show. So if you think about it in the display world, that typically involves selecting the right pages that correspond to the message that you want to give based on what is available on that page. But if you think about it in other channels like CTV, for example, or audio, it can be about selecting the right media content based off of metadata, such as subtitles, such as whatever. In general, that's that.
And it's a proxy to make sure you get to the right people, because they are in a certain state of mind, a certain kind of attitude, because they're interacting with that content, right?
At the end of the day, finding the right environment is a means to an end. You know, marketers, they want to connect with the people with which their message is going to resonate and achieve real-life business outcomes, right? So it's all about finding the right environment where you will find the right people for your message, and that's what really matters ultimately in the selection of that inventory.
So you don't need to recognize the people themselves? You don't need IDs then when you're doing contextual advertising?
Well, that's the thing. There is really contextual and contextual. If you think about it in the way that contextual has been done over the past like 20, 30 years, it tended to be historically quite basic about the selection of keywords on page, right? For example, to create an audience about auto intenders, you would select pages that are about car reviews by looking for certain keywords on page. So that's pretty basic. That will allow you to put your message there, but it can be very limiting in terms of the audience that you will find, and the scale of the segment can be very limiting, which will negatively impact the performance and the scale of your campaigns. So in order for you to be able to do beside that, you need to add layers of sophistication into your contextual solution. And typically the way we do it at Captify, for example, that involves using alternative IDs to be able to better understand the user journey, you know, what the user is interested in at the different stages of the funnel through the searches that they do on the pages. And that allows us to predict that when people are reaching a certain page, we can understand what their mindset is, and we can determine if they are susceptible to receiving the message about a given brand or product. So that's what really I think allows contextual to really do well when it's used in campaigns, and particularly in settings of prospecting. Right? Typically, if you limit yourself to a form of purely ID-based advertising, you're going to limit yourself to a certain seed audience. By using contextual, you can reach a new audience. It can be really a good form of prospecting as long as you've got the right sophistication into it, so that you can extend your message to the pages that, for example, in this example of auto intenders, it may not just be pages that are directly talking about cars. It could be pages that are popular with people interested in cars, such as, for example, pages about, I don't know, gardening, for example, or the ratings of school. So it's by having this additional input, you can really get the right message to the right people.
You said extend. It's an amplification method, right? Like you get more scale.
Absolutely.
And more qualification. It's almost like you're qualifying the users with the context, and you're qualifying the context with the user, and they can both work together to maximize the scale of your.
Yeah, it's absolutely that. So I've heard it, said really well. Like when it comes to advertising, and that includes also traditional advertising on linear TV. It's about talking to the right person at the right moment. When they are susceptible to receive your message, and they will listen to you, and they will be good brand recall, and that is really what will lead to good business outcomes. Using the right IDs is good to find the right people, but having a contextual strategy is also absolutely essential to make sure that, number one, you target those people in the right context, but number two, also that you deliver your message in an environment which is also brand safe.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, which is like it's always good to have, you want to target the right audience, but it's always better if you target the right audience at the right moment in the right context.
Absolutely.
Than if you target them when they are completely thinking about something else.
Absolutely. And there's also another aspect of IDs which is critical, right? Activation is an important part of marketing, but planning and measurement are also absolutely
course.
critical. And when it comes to measurement, if you limit yourself to contextual signals, it's really difficult for you to be able to determine, whether your campaign had actually reached, good business outcomes. So by weaving in IDs into your strategy, you can better attribute conversions back to your campaigns and creatives, but also doing in-flight optimization, frequency capping, optimization to understand, like, who was able to convert and who didn't convert, and adjust your campaign in real time.
And then optimize the contextual strategies that you apply on top of the ID targeting strategy, thanks to that feedback loop of measurement.
Absolutely, that's what we do at Captify. We analyze the performance of our past campaign to better adjust the segmentation. We feed that signal back into the segmentation model, and you use it to better optimize the selection of inventory for future campaigns.
Right. So contextual advertising, alternative identifiers, two methods, two capabilities that are here to compensate or replace or actually improve how we're optimizing and measuring campaign performance in a post-cookie world, but not necessarily opposed to each other, actually, as Martin was explaining, working really well together in conjunction. So definitely not a myth that you want to follow. Contextual advertising and alternative IDs can work really well together. Martin, thank you very much to help us put this myth together. Thank you everyone for watching.